Have you ever noticed how your brain always tries to pull you toward the easier choice? You sit down to study, and suddenly your brain says, let's check the phone first. You plan to exercise, and your brain says, maybe tomorrow. You think of starting something new, and your brain whispers, it's too difficult. This is the silent battle every human faces, the struggle between comfort and growth. The truth is, your brain is naturally programmed to protect you from difficulty. It wants safety, routine, and ease. But success, discipline, and greatness are never found in comfort. They are found on the other side of resistance. Imagine if every time you felt tired, you gave up. Imagine if every time you felt scared, you stepped back. Where would that leave you? The answer is simple. It would leave you stuck living far below your true potential. That's why you must learn to force your brain to do hard things. Because the hard things, waking up early, staying disciplined, working with focus, and facing challenges are the exact steps that separate those who succeed from those who only dream. When you master your mind, you master your life. And once you learn to control your brain, and instead of being controlled by it, no goal will be too big, no dream will be too far. Your brain is the greatest tool you will ever own, but it can also be the greatest trap. From the moment you wake up in the morning, your brain has one mission: to keep you safe and comfortable. That is why it loves routine, ease, and familiarity. If you wake up and stay in bed, the brain feels satisfied. If you postpone the difficult work and choose entertainment instead, the brain rewards you with temporary pleasure. But here is the hidden danger. This comfort zone that feels so safe is the very reason why so many people never reach their true potential. The comfort zone may feel like a friend, but it is quietly stealing your growth. Think about the moments when you felt challenged in life. Maybe the first time you spoke in front of others, or the first day you entered a new environment, or the first time you tried to learn a difficult skill. In those moments, your brain tried to pull you back. It made excuses. It created fear. It whispered doubts. And yet, if you pushed through those moments, what happened afterward? You grew stronger, more confident, more capable. This shows a powerful truth. Growth never comes from comfort. It only comes from resistance. The things your brain tries to avoid are the very things that will build your future. The comfort zone is tricky because it does not look dangerous. It looks relaxing. It looks like rest. It looks like safety. But over time, it becomes a prison. Imagine a person who avoids challenges for years. They wake up late. They avoid discipline. They choose entertainment over effort. In the beginning, it feels fine. But slowly, the opportunities around them shrink. They watch others progress while they remain in the same place. One day, they realize the cost of always choosing comfort. The cost is their dreams, their ambitions, and their potential. Your brain will never naturally ask you to wake up at 5 a.m., to put in extra hours, or to face difficult work. That is not its nature. Its nature is survival, not success. Success demands something greater than survival. It demands progress, and progress is uncomfortable. If you want to become someone who achieves more than the average, you must train yourself to go against the easy instructions of your brain. You must see the comfort zone as your enemy, not your home. Why does the brain resist hard things? Because hard things mean energy, effort, and risk. The brain was built thousands of years ago to protect humans from danger, to save energy in times of scarcity, to avoid threats. But today, the threats are not wild animals or hunger. The threats are laziness, distraction, and wasted potential. The brain has not changed much, but the world has. That is why you must consciously override it. If you let your brain lead the way, it will lead you to safety, but not to greatness. Every great achievement in history was born from someone who dared to step outside comfort. Building a business, creating art, leading people, or mastering a skill. None of these were achieved by following the path of ease. They were achieved by those who forced themselves into discomfort until it became normal. That is the secret. What feels hard today becomes easy tomorrow if you do it consistently. And what feels easy today will feel like a trap tomorrow if you stay in it too long. When your brain tells you, this is too hard, you must learn to answer with action. Do not argue with the brain, train it. Every time you choose the harder path, you are reprogramming your mind. You are teaching it that difficulty is not danger but opportunity. The more you do this, the more your brain adapts. It stops resisting as strongly because it learns that you are the master, not the servant. Look at the pattern in successful people's lives. They wake up when it is easier to sleep. They work when it is tempting to relax. They stay focused when distractions surround them. They do this not because their brain wants it, but because they trained their brain to follow discipline, not comfort. They rewired their minds through repeated action. And because of that, they enjoy rewards that others only dream about. The comfort zone feels safe only in the short term. In the long term, it creates regret. Imagine being 80 years old and looking back on your life. Would you be proud of always choosing what was easy? Or would you wish you had pushed harder, risked more, disciplined yourself to do the hard things? That future regret is born from today's comfort. But if you force your brain to act with courage now, your future will be filled with pride, strength, and freedom. So when you feel resistance, remember this, the resistance is a signal that you are exactly where you need to be. If a task feels difficult, it means you are growing. If a choice feels uncomfortable, it means you are moving forward. Do not fear that signal. Embrace it. Because every time you defeat the comfort zone, you build the mental strength that will serve you for life. Your brain is powerful, but it should never be in control of your destiny. You must take that control back. The path of ease will only keep you where you are, but the path of difficulty will carry you to places you never imagined possible. Force your brain to do the hard things today, and tomorrow the hard things will become your strength. That is the only way to break free from the invisible prison of comfort and live a life of true success and discipline. Discipline is often spoken about as if it is a burden, but in truth, it is freedom. Most people misunderstand this simple truth. They think discipline takes away joy, that it limits life, that it is about forcing yourself into routines you do not enjoy. But in reality, discipline is the power that rewires the brain to go beyond its natural laziness and resistance. Without discipline, the brain will always seek shortcuts, always choose ease, and always avoid growth. With discipline, the brain learns to embrace discomfort, to find strength in effort, and to create habits that lead to success. Think about how the brain reacts when you try something difficult for the first time. It says, this is too much. You feel resistance, fear, or exhaustion. Many people take this as a signal to stop, as if the brain is telling the truth. But in reality, the brain is only expressing its old programming. It has been conditioned for years to avoid challenge. Discipline is the method to break this programming. Each time you force yourself to continue, despite what your brain says, you create a new pattern. Over time, the brain accepts that effort is not a threat, but a normal part of your life. Discipline works like training a muscle. At first, the muscle feels weak and tired. It resists the pressure. But if you push gently, consistently, it grows stronger. The same is true with the brain. When you introduce discipline, the brain resists. It wants the old comfort. But if you continue to apply small doses of discipline, day after day, it learns. Soon, what once felt impossible becomes natural. Waking up early no longer feels like punishment. Studying with focus no longer feels like suffering. Working hard no longer feels like something to avoid. Instead, they become part of who you are. That is the rewiring process discipline provides. The beauty of discipline is that it does not require motivation. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. One day you feel inspired. The next day you feel tired. If you rely only on motivation, you will make progress only when you feel good. But success is built not on feelings, but on consistency. Discipline does not care how you feel. Discipline simply demands that you act. And when you act again and again, regardless of emotion, you build momentum that no excuse can break. Consider the person who wants to get stronger physically. If they wait until they feel like exercising, they may train once or twice a week, sometimes not at all. But if they commit to discipline, they show up whether they feel inspired or not. At first, it is difficult. But as weeks pass, the brain begins to expect it. The body and mind adapt. Soon, training is no longer something unusual. It becomes routine. The same principle applies to work, to study, to business, to every dream you have. Discipline transforms the extraordinary into the ordinary by making hard actions a daily habit. Another powerful effect of discipline is that it silences the excuses of the brain. The brain loves to create reasons why something cannot be done. It says, you are too tired, or you don't have enough time, or you can start tomorrow. But when discipline is strong, these voices lose their power. Why? Because discipline does not argue with excuses. It moves forward anyway. The more you follow discipline instead of excuses, the quieter those excuses become. You prove to yourself again and again that you are in control, not your temporary feelings. That is when true freedom begins. The freedom to act regardless of fear or resistance. Look around at the people who have built great achievements. They are not always the most talented, the smartest, or the luckiest, but they are often the most disciplined. They learn to train their brain to follow commands instead of moods. They wake up early even when tired. They focus deeply even when distractions are near. They continue their journey even when the results are slow. Over time, their discipline carves a path that others admire, but few are willing to walk. It is also important to understand that discipline creates identity. When you repeatedly act with discipline, you no longer see yourself as someone who struggles with self-control. You begin to see yourself as a disciplined person. This shift is powerful. When identity changes, behavior follows naturally. A person who identifies as healthy does not need to fight hard to eat well. They simply live according to who they believe they are. A person who identifies as disciplined does not need constant reminders to stay on track. They act with consistency because that is who they have become. And once discipline is part of your identity, your brain no longer resists. It aligns with who you are. Of course, discipline is not built overnight. It begins small. Forcing your brain to obey one small instruction daily is the seed. Wake up at the time you promised yourself. Complete the task you scheduled. Avoid the distraction you committed to cut out. Each small victory adds up. the brain takes notice. It learns that you are serious, that you follow through. That effort is part of your life. And as the days turn into months, your capacity for discipline grows larger until you are capable of handling challenges that once seemed impossible. The greatest gift discipline gives you is control over your destiny. When you live without discipline, your brain and emotions are in charge. They decide when you act, how much effort you give, and when you quit. But when you live with discipline, you take that power back. You command your brain instead of obeying it. You direct your life instead of drifting. And in that control lies the secret to lasting success. So remember this. The brain may resist hard things, but discipline can train it to embrace them. Discipline is not punishment. It is preparation. It is not limitation. It is liberation. Every moment you practice discipline, you are rewiring your brain to accept difficulty as normal and effort as natural. That is how you grow beyond average, how you shape your future, and how you unlock the potential that comfort would otherwise hide from you. Success is not built in one great leap. It is built in small, deliberate steps that compound over time. Many people believe they must achieve something massive all at once to change their life. But that belief is what paralyzes them. They look at the mountain they want to climb and think, it's too big. It's impossible. What they forget is that every mountain is climbed one step at a time. The brain, when faced with something overwhelming, resists. But when faced with something small and manageable, it adapts and moves forward. This is why small wins are the key to building mental strength. They are the building blocks that prepare your brain to embrace greater challenges in the future. Think about the first time you tried something difficult. If you aimed too high too fast, it may have felt unbearable, and perhaps you gave up. But if you started small, with one step, one task, one effort, it felt possible. That small success gave you confidence, and the next step felt easier. This is the secret of building mental muscle. Begin with small victories, and over time, those victories accumulate into unstoppable strength. The brain loves rewards. Every time you accomplish a small goal, your brain releases signals of satisfaction. That feeling of progress is powerful. It teaches the brain that effort brings results. For example, if you decide to wake up early every morning, the first few days may feel difficult. But when you succeed even once, you feel proud. That pride is not just emotional, it is chemical. Your brain begins to connect discipline with reward. Slowly, it stops fighting as much, and instead, it looks for that feeling of accomplishment again. This is why small wins matter. They are not trivial. They are the training ground for your brain. Imagine trying to lift a heavy weight without ever lifting lighter ones first. Your body would not be ready, and you would fail. But if you start with smaller weights, your muscles adapt. Over time, the heavier load becomes possible. The same is true with your mind. Small wins strengthen your mental capacity, so when bigger challenges arrive, your brain does not panic. It feels prepared. One of the biggest mistakes people make is underestimating the value of small progress. They dismiss small actions as meaningless. They think reading one page does not matter. Saving a small amount of money is useless, or working a little extra each day is too insignificant. But here is the truth. Small actions, repeated consistently, create massive results. Reading one page daily becomes 30 pages in a month and hundreds in a year. Saving a little daily becomes financial security over time. Practicing a small skill daily becomes mastery in a few years. What feels small today becomes life-changing tomorrow. The power of small wins is also psychological. When you achieve something small, you build belief in yourself. You prove to yourself that you can set a goal and follow through. That belief grows with each victory, and soon it becomes part of your identity. You start to see yourself as capable, disciplined, and strong. This identity fuels bigger actions. Without small wins, people often try to leap straight into greatness, but collapse under the weight of self-doubt. With small wins, you create a foundation of confidence that makes bigger leaps possible. Consider someone who wants to write a book. If they think about writing 300 pages, their brain resists. It feels overwhelming. But if they commit to writing 1 page a day, suddenly it feels achievable. After a year, they have a book. The brain that once resisted now adapts because the process felt manageable. This is how small wins transform overwhelming goals into reachable realities. Another important aspect is that small wins build momentum. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in success. When you are in motion, even in a small way, it becomes easier to stay in motion. The hardest part is starting. Once you achieve even the smallest success, you create energy that pushes you forward. Each step fuels the next. Without small wins, you never gain momentum. And without momentum, your brain keeps pulling you back to comfort. But small wins are not just about progress. They are also about discipline. Every small action trains your brain to obey your command. When you tell yourself, I will do this one small thing, and then you actually do it, you strengthen the connection between intention and action. Over time, your brain learns that when you decide something, it will be done. This rewiring is invaluable. It builds trust within yourself, and that trust becomes the foundation of great achievements. Think of small wins as deposits into your mental bank account. Every disciplined action is a deposit. At first, the balance is small. But as you keep depositing daily, it grows into wealth, mental wealth, emotional wealth, and practical results. And when a time comes when you need strength to face a major challenge, you can draw from this account. Your small wins will have prepared you to face the storm with confidence. The beauty of this process is that anyone can start. You do not need perfect conditions, great resources, or special talent. All you need is the willingness to begin with one small step. Success is not built by those who wait for inspiration. It is built by those who take consistent action, however small. And as those actions accumulate, the brain transforms. What once felt hard becomes natural. What once felt impossible becomes routine. So never underestimate the value of the little victories you win each day. Waking up when you said you would, finishing the task you promised, resisting a distraction even once. These are victories that shape your brain. They are evidence that you are capable of controlling your life instead of being controlled by comfort. And when you collect enough of these small wins, they form the foundation of greatness. In the end, success is nothing more than a series of small wins, patiently and consistently earned. The brain that once resisted difficulty now thrives on challenge because it has been trained through daily victories. Force your brain to win the small battles, and soon you will be ready for the great wars of life. That is how small wins build the mental muscle that makes you unstoppable. Life is built on a principle that many people try to avoid. Before reward comes pain, before growth comes struggle, and before success comes sacrifice. This is a law of life that no one can escape. Yet, most people resist it. They want the rewards without the effort, the growth without the challenge, and the success without the discipline. But the truth is clear. The ones who achieve greatness are those who accept pain as the price of progress. They understand that every meaningful achievement demands that the brain be pushed beyond comfort into the territory of discomfort. When you attempt something hard, your brain's first reaction is to protest. It sends signals of fatigue, excuses, and doubt. This is natural because your brain seeks to protect you from discomfort. But discomfort is not an enemy. It is the training ground for resilience. Every time you push through pain, whether it is physical, mental, or emotional, you strengthen your character. Just as muscles cannot grow without resistance, your mind cannot grow without difficulty. The very struggles you try to avoid are the ones designed to prepare you for higher levels of achievement. Think of someone learning to play an instrument. In the beginning, their fingers hurt, the sounds are rough, and progress feels slow. The brain says, "This is too hard, stop." If they quit at this stage, they will never experience the beauty of music. But if they endure the pain of practice, day after day, the notes begin to flow, the hands move with ease, and the brain finally accepts the process. The pain was not permanent, it was the price for mastery. The same applies in every field of life. Behind every graceful performance, every successful business, every achievement you admire, there is hidden pain that someone endured without giving up. Success is not about avoiding difficulty, but about transforming your relationship with it. When you see pain as a signal to stop, you remain stuck. When you see pain as a sign of growth, you move forward. This change in perspective is what separates the average from the exceptional. The average person avoids the discomfort of discipline, but the exceptional person forces their brain to continue, knowing that the pain will one day turn into strength. The process is simple but not easy. First, you face resistance. The task seems heavy, the hours seem long, and the results feel distant. Then comes the stage of adjustment. With repetition, the brain begins to accept the new demand. Finally, there is the stage of transformation, where the once painful effort becomes natural and even enjoyable. This cycle happens in every area of growth. But to reach the transformation stage, you must endure the pain of the beginning stage. Too many give up before their brain has time to adjust, and so they never experience the rewards waiting on the other side. Pain before reward also teaches patience. In a world where people want instant results, discipline reminds us that the best things in life take time. The tree does not bear fruit the day it is planted. The foundation of a building is not built in an hour. Similarly, the rewards of success, freedom, confidence, achievement are not instant. They come only to those who can suffer through the waiting period without giving up. Your brain must be trained to accept this truth. If it expects fast results, it will quit too early. But if it understands that pain is temporary and reward is certain, it will continue with determination. Consider an athlete training for a competition. Every day is filled with sweat, exhaustion, and sometimes failure. Yet they do not stop because they know that these moments of pain are shaping them for the victory ahead. The brain resists, but the disciplined mind pushes through. And when the day of competition comes, all those hours of discomfort transform into confidence and strength. This is the hidden exchange: short-term pain for long-term greatness. There is another important lesson in forcing your brain to endure hard things. Pain reveals who you truly are. When everything is easy, anyone can appear strong. But when life becomes difficult, when your brain wants to quit, your true character is revealed. Do you give in to weakness, or do you stand firm and continue? Every time you push forward in difficulty,